Welcome to my new series called She Kept Going, where I talk to you about my testimony about how God carried me through every trial and tribulation, every difficult season, every moment where I truly didn't even think He existed. And I'm here to show different examples of how He restored me and how He has been there every step of the way. I am so excited to tell you my testimony on episode 1, which is about my mother. It is something that I have shared with many people around me that I have encountered, if it was during a Bible study or just a woman that needed encouragement when it came to her relationship with her mother. And it's something that really generated the reason why I wanted to do this YouTube channel. And it's just so that women have an easier way of accessing this information and allowing it to really restore their relationship and encourage them to have a relationship with their mother through God, assisting and really restoring that relationship. So let's get right into it. I'm trying to keep this fully transparent without having to cut or edit any portion of this. So bear with me. So I'll start from the beginning. I am the only child, my mother's only child. My mother was a flight attendant when I was born and as I was growing up. So when I was born, I was raised by my grandmother. My mother was married to my father and she was working a lot. And then her and my father were divorced at my age of 3. I obviously didn't feel much of that because I was so young. And like I said, I was very much raised with my grandmother. So a lot of my childhood I remember just with my grandmother. As the years went by, because my mother was so involved in work and everything else, truly, now that I know, healing and trying to just survive, I didn't really gain much of a relationship with my mother. And as a teenager, that's when it got really tricky because I became a rebellious teenager where when my mother told me something, I didn't listen because I didn't have that relationship with her. So it was a lot of bickering, a lot of back and forth. I wasn't listening. And it was really hard because I never really felt like I could come to her like a mother. Like if I needed help with something that was like, you ask your mom about. So yeah, it was really hard. It was tough. Growing up was just tough. And looking back now, you could just tell my mom was just trying to survive, just trying to heal through a lot of the things that she went through growing up and she went through in her marriage and trying to raise me. Come college, I went away to college. It was great. But I realized my mom and I had really no interaction. I think I spoke to her maybe once in the 4 years, once or twice in the 4 years that I was in school. And it hurt because I would hang out with friends who had close relationships with their mothers. And it kind of just made me wish like I had that, but I didn't. And just the more that the years went by, I realized that I would just kind of push that emotion down deep inside instead of dealing with it. And it started making me a very cold individual. I didn't like hugs. I was mean sometimes. I wasn't kind. Being kind was hard for me because there was a lot of darkness going on inside that I was just bottling up. So I would get very, very angry a lot. And my relationship with my mom just didn't even exist. And coming back from college, I had to live with her again. And that's when things got really dark. I didn't really know what my mom was going through. And I kind of just, always in my head, I'm sure other people feel this way, would feel like, well, you're the mom, you're supposed to know what to do. And that wasn't the case. She was obviously going through her own things. One thing led to the other, and things got very physical and very dark. And yeah, it got really, really dark, really, really fast. And the cops were involved, and I that day I felt like I lost my mom completely. Um, I felt like my mother was no longer my mother, and she was just another person. Not another person in my life, just another stranger. Um, and there was no turning back from what had happened. Um, I don't want to get into the details of it because it can be very triggering to someone watching. Um, but it was really really bad, um, really really bad. My mom and I were not allowed to be near each other anymore. Um, from there, I had to figure things out on my own, and I got into a lot of things that I shouldn't have been dealing with, like crystals and numerology and horoscopes, and that's another story for another episode. But that's when it started, and yeah, I had no relationship with my mom. Um, I formed great relationships with mothers of friends of mine, and I felt like that was filling the void, but it wasn't helping the coldness. It wasn't helping who I became as a person, suppressing feelings. Um, it was bad. And then I got into a relationship. I got out of the relationship, another episode, another separate episode. Um, got out of my relationship, and I was in the darkest place of my life. I didn't know where to go or who to turn to. And I went to church, and I went to church solely to help with how dark I was feeling and to, grow a relationship with God. I went because I wasn't going to church for 10 plus years. And I was like, you know what? I figured this may help. I didn't think where I am today was going to happen based off just me wanting to go to church because I felt dark. But that's what I did. I went to church. I started going to church every Sunday. I started letting God do what He does. And I started receiving these nudges from the Holy Spirit, like, you should donate $50, or, you should call this person, you should pray for this person, you should be nicer to this person, you should do this with your business. And I started learning something about myself, which I've been like this probably my whole life, but I'm not anymore. I started realizing how disobedient I was to the nudges that I was getting. And it stemmed from me being so disobedient to my mother whenever she would ask me to do something, because I just never gave her that authority that she deserved. And so I started listening, and that year, so I started going to church in May. In August, my mom and I were having like she would text me randomly. I'm like, okay, but it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy conversation, even though years went by since the incident, and we still couldn't hold one conversation without arguing, without just like bickering. And I'll never forget the day I just came home from the gym. I was parked outside. I didn't even turn off the car yet, and I get a text message from my mom around 12 noon. And it is a paragraph so long that it had 3 dots to click on to further read the text message. And it was a text message so cruel. I can't even say mean. Mean isn't even the word. It was so cruel that it felt like it was coming from a stranger. It felt like it was coming from an enemy. And in that moment, I said to myself, I hate my mom. I hate her so much because she could take something that hurts me so bad and shove it in my face and remind me of it, remind me of something that hurt me. When your mother is supposed to be the person that protects you and that loves you and that will never let you get hurt. And what was happening there was the complete opposite. So in that moment, I hated her. I hated my mom. I didn't want anything to do with her. And I made the decision to block her. And like I mentioned, I am the only child. And my mom does have some um, ailments that, she may go to the hospital one day and they'll call me. I didn't care. I was like, it's finally time for me to choose me, because I can't deal with someone that's hurting me when I'm at peace and when I'm not asking you for anything. Um, so I blocked her. That was in August. And months go by. I'm still going to church. I'm still praying. Um, I'm not really praying for her. I was just, I was still very newly Christian, and I was still dealing with a lot and praying for myself. Come November, so August, September, October, November. Come November, I go to an all-women's conference retreat, and I'm there. I'm just taking everything in, and I'm listening to the speakers. I'm listening to the speakers speak about different scenarios, different testimonies. They're speaking about the Bible, breaking down Bible verses, but nothing to remind me of my mother. And I was very much aware you should honor your mother and your father is a commandment. I grew up Catholic, so that was embedded in me. But I knew, I was like, you know what, God, like, I'm not perfect, and that's not something that I can do. Well, think again. When you have a plan, God laughs. Because as I was at that conference, I started getting a really bad headache. Really, really bad headache. The headache became a migraine. Started asking people, do you have any Advil, any Tylenol? And I'm like, what is going on? This can't be happening. I'm really enjoying it here. I'm learning a lot. And now this headache is getting in the way, to the point where my eyes were getting blurry. And that's when I started receiving a nudge from the Holy Spirit. And it was very loud and clear. And it said, text your mother. And I remember saying, absolutely not. Out loud, I said, absolutely not. And again, text your mother, 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 text your mother. And finally, I was like, I don't want to. Text your mother and invite her to church. And I'm like, I can't with this headache anymore. I'm gonna throw up. Like, I need to throw up from how bad this headache is. So finally, I didn't tell anyone around me what I was doing. Just like, you know what? Let's see what happens. I'm gonna unblock my mom. I'm gonna text her and I'm gonna say, come to church on Sunday. I texted her right away. She said, okay. I texted her the address and it said, see you there. Come Sunday. Now we're on Sunday and today's the day. I get to church. I looked at my friend from church that is a heavily anointed individual who I knew if I told her, she would give me godly advice. And I told her what happened. She said she's gonna pray over it. And when I saw her at church, I said, today's the day my mom is supposed to come and come to church. Like I'm nervous. I told her, I was like, I'm very nervous. I think I made a mistake because this is my safe space. She said, no, let me pray over you right now. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work out. God is doing his work. I said, okay. She prayed over me. I went into the service. I sat down and I'm looking at my phone, no text message. I don't see her. I said, okay. Church is starting, no word from her. So I start crying. And I started getting upset and angry because I'm like, why would I invite her? I should have known better. And I looked at my friend and I'm like, she didn't come. She's like, it's okay. She'll come next time. Just keep inviting her. Okay. I almost left church and instead I went back in and I sat there and I cried. But it was more like, you couldn't tell I was crying kind of thing. And like, it is what it is. She didn't show up. And then all of a sudden, I get a tap on my shoulder and my mom was right behind me. And even though I didn't want to see her, it was such a sense of relief knowing that she did show up and she was just late. She came and sat next to me. I didn't say hi. We didn't hug. We didn't hold hands. It was very dry and it was very cold. Like I told you, I was a very cold person. I was like, all right, she came. God, I did what you told me to do. Um, Service was over. She said it was nice seeing you. I don't remember recalling saying anything back. She left, I left. The next week, I didn't text her saying, hey, come again, nothing. Next Sunday comes, she came, sat right next to me. The Sunday after that, she came, sat right next to me. She didn't stop coming. And these are tears of joy. She didn't stop coming. She didn't stop showing up for us. And that is all that God needed. All God needed was for me to surrender that hard exterior of mine. And He needed her to just show up in my life for Him to do the work. And because of God's divine intervention, He healed our relationship. My mother and I did not exchange words. We did not say we're not going to fight anymore. We didn't say we're going to do this again. He did the work. He made sure that if it's going to happen under my eyes and in my house, it will be healed. And He healed us. One day she would show up, she would put her hand on my thigh, we would hold hands, I would put my head on her shoulder, and for the first time, I felt like I had a mother. I felt like I had a friend. I felt like I had that mother-daughter relationship that I would see my friends having right in front of me. And it felt so good knowing that I didn't have to do much work and she didn't have to do much work. And all we needed was God to restore our relationship in order for it to work. And that was in 2023. And since then, my mom and I haven't argued. This is the longest we've ever gone without arguing. And this has healed parts of me that would have never been healed if my mother wasn't back in my life. I'm a much softer individual now. I love hugs. I love my mother. I love checking in on her. I love spending time with her. Since then, we've had our first sleepover together. I feel like I'm a child again when I'm with her. We've spent birthdays together. We've cooked together. We've gone to the beach together. And it's been a beautiful experience. And God is very intentional about everything that He does because He healed us. And then a year after that, she moved out of the country. And He knew that He needed to heal our relationship before she moved. It wouldn't have been good. It would have been harder for me to ever form a relationship with my mom if she was already out of the country. But she moved and she's happy and I'm happy for her. And the distance doesn't get in the way of our relationship. And I love her so much and I understand her for who she is. I understand all the struggle that she went through to raise me and to give me the life that I have. I could never go through what my mom went through. So I truly look up to her for being such a strong woman. My mother is my rock, and learning about her and who she is has taught me a lot about who I am and who I'm becoming. And it's answered a lot of questions that I always wondered about myself. My mom is amazing, and I wouldn't trade her for anyone else. I love my mother so much, and I could never, ever, ever say that I HAT her. Um, she's my everything, my best friend, my twin. She's my twin. Um, and I miss her a lot. Um, and I'm so happy that everything happened the way that it did. I wouldn't go back in time because I'm happy where we are now, and I'm happy with the relationship that we've formed. I hope that this testimony encourages anyone watching, and it helps anyone watching that is having issues with their mother or any type of relationship in their life. And I hope that this reminds you that God is the ultimate healer, and He restores and He redeems, and He doesn't look at your past and use that against you. He truly listens when you ask. So pray on it, and use my testimony as an example that there is a way. Because 32 years, well, 31 years of not having a relationship with my mom. And here I am, feeling like her and I have been best friends forever. I cannot wait to continue this series of She Kept Going, and reminding you all that God carries you through the way, and that all you have to do is keep going because God will do the rest.